So, the stereotypical Nigerian scammer, Nigerian prince, right? You ever see those back in the day? That was a big scam that people would do. But this guy came up and he was a Nigerian scammer. And his scams got more like intricate, right? So he kind of posed and he was this guy who came up and he basically was like the Dan Bilzerian of like Nigeria. And what he did was like crazy. So he would like scam people, right? I'll get into the scam in a minute, but how they caught him is so amazing. So he kind of came up, right? He made all this money, and everyone from his town and from his country who knew him, they were like, "There's no way this guy made money legitimately, right?" Because he made it so quick, and everyone was like, "How the fuck did you make this money, right?" So he's like, "Oh, I got it. I got my money from real estate, right?" It's like, okay, valid, right? Like maybe the guy made a couple real estate deals, he flipped some, properties, whatever, made some money, and then he's like rolling the proceeds back into deals, right? Okay, that's a valid point. Like real estate, if you look at like the largest wealth creators, it's like real estate and stocks. Like those, that's like one and two, right? So that's valid. Like that, okay, like that's kind of believable, even though it was like in too small of a window, right? Okay. So he says that that's the case. So he starts posting on Instagram and he's posting his lifestyle and like he's got all these crazy exotic cars. He's traveling everywhere. He's got a Rolls Royce that has like his Instagram handle like engraved into the door. It says Hushpuppi. He's wearing all Gucci shit, like he thinks he's a big shot. And oh, he also called himself Hushpuppi as his Instagram name, and he called himself the billionaire Gucci Belezo, which is funny because he should be the billionaire Gucci Bozo because now he's in jail. But anyway, so from 2011 onward, he got kind of like started on social media and started posting on there. And it's unbelievable what happened. So what he did was, and we don't condone this type of behavior. We're only explaining this for entertainment purposes only. So what he did was like he would flex all his money, right? So I'll get into like how he did these scams and how he got caught. So how he did this scam is that he would send people like a phishing email, and that's phishing with a P with PH, not fishing like you cast a fucking line and you're like waiting to catch a fish, but you send someone like a phishing email. So he would send a phishing email to like an administrative assistant or whoever at like a big company, right? And his main point in doing that was to get them to click the link to then get access to their email and see everything coming in, right? Then what he would do is he would wait for an invoice to come in. And then from there, once an invoice would come in, he would create a fake invoice from that company that sent the invoice to the assistant. So let's say like you had a company, right? And let's say your company is God LLC, and I'm the administrative assistant of Jimbo LLC. So he would get into the Jimbo LLC administrative assistant email from me being an idiot and clicking the link. He would get in, and then what would happen is God LLC would send Jimbo LLC an invoice of $10 million, right? So then he would see the invoice come in, he would open it up, download it, copy it over, and then just change the banking information. And then for the email, he would make a new email from God LLC, but he would say like God LLC like period at gmail.com or whatever. So it looks like a legit email from God LLC. And then he would change the bank routing information and then the like the account numbers and shit like that. And he would say, "Oh, sorry, I made a mistake before. Like, here's the information." So you'll never believe what happened. This guy with his syndicate, they scammed $500 million out of corporations. Think about how fucking crazy that is. And it wasn't just him alone. He had like a team working for him. And here's how this fucking bozo got caught. First of all, he gets all this money, he gets it out of nowhere, and he starts flexing on social media, right? Big red flag. You don't do that. You don't flex on social media ever. Even if you earn your money legitimately, you never let everyone know that you're rich. You never do that. Because you know why? It breeds animosity because people look at it and they go, "Oh, this guy thinks he's better than everyone. Let's fuck him up." That's number one. People look to take you down like that because you become a blip on the radar and everyone starts talking about you. Real G's move in silence like lasagna. And it's true. So that's number one. Number two, they called him on the Instagram because for his birthday party, it was like his 37th birthday party or some shit. He has this crazy elaborate party in Abu Dhabi, right? And he has a live video feed where, he's on IG live and he's like, "Hey, it's my birthday, blah blah blah," right? All the guys in the video, they're all known scammers that the feds were already investigating. So they go, "We got him. We fucking got him." They go, every single guy that was in that live stream, that was in this dude's orbit, they can confirm he's in with the scam because every other guy in the room they already have a file on and they know is a proven scammer. So now what happens? Boom. The UAE collaborates with the US and they fucking book this guy while he's on vacation for his birthday and they arrest everyone on the night of the guy's birthday, right? So here's what happens in the aftermath. So he had an apartment in the Palazzo Versace and it was raided, and they said him and 11 others were arrested in 6 simultaneous raids, and detectives seized more than 150 dirham, that's the currency in Abu Dhabi, and that's $40 million in cash, 13 luxury cars worth $7 million, 21 laptops, 47 smartphones, 15 memory storage devices, and 5 external hard drives, and 800,000 emails of potential victims alongside suitcases of cash. And the whole thing was that they were stealing money from people, and then they got caught trying to launder it. So in this situation where he had all this cash, he was divvying it out. I would think he was divvying it out to his business associates in a way to kind of launder the money and give it to them in cash and have them bring it back or whatever the case may be. And he was trying to launder the money. But the worst part is, like, this guy said he made his money in real estate. He never made one real estate transaction ever. Never made one. And all this information would be public, right? Like, you could see when someone buys and sells their home or buys and sells a property. You could see the entity that did that. That's all public records. So this guy's such a moron that he never made a real estate deal once. Not once. So how crazy is that, though? He literally got caught because he was flexing on Instagram.
Yeah, but that seems like an easy scam, because if you just send an invoice to a corporation, say like a very cheap invoice, like $200, you think they're gonna spend time like doing a full blown investigation, or they're most likely just gonna pay? They're just gonna pay out $200. They're gonna be like, "Oh, what the fuck? What the fuck? What bill is this? Where is this from?" And they might do a little bit of due diligence, but they're not gonna run around in circles for basically a week trying to find out where the $200 came from. They're just gonna pay it and then they're gonna move on with the day. So like I feel like that's a pretty well thought out scam to hit corporations, because they're more likely to pay you out because they don't want to investigate, like, oh, where did we spend this money? There's a lot of like incoming bills that they have and a lot of incoming invoices, and they might not double check each and every one, and they might just pay it out.
Yeah, and that's the whole point of the phishing scam, right? Like, when you think of else, it's like really not a complicated scam. It's just like someone
You might not even have to fish though. To be honest, you could just send an email with an invoice and it probably would work sometimes.
I'm sure they did. I'm sure they did that too. But like the phishing emails, like you could literally send a phishing email to, like, how ridiculously. I don't even want to get into this stuff because it's so shady and it's so grimy and disgusting. But like the phishing emails, like they would like. I've worked at places where I've gotten emails and I'm like, this is a fucking phishing email, and I delete it right away, right? Like, because I'm savvy and like we know the tech and we know, like, it's very easy to discern when it's like a fucking phishing email, right? But like the second you open that email, they have access to your fucking account. Like, that's just what it is. So it's just people being careless at work, and they're like, oh, it's a Monday morning at 9 o'clock. I got an email, and then they fucking click it open, and boom, that hacker or whoever's trying to, criminal, they're in the person's email now. And that's
how does that even happen? There's internal servers and there's external servers. Your email from the company should be on a separate server.
I totally agree. But some companies, like, if the person isn't connected to a VPN or whatever the case may be, like, another thing too is to consider this. Like, a lot of people use their phones for work emails, right? But if their phone isn't properly set up, and let's say they're using Gmail or whatever account, if they get into the person's personal email, they can then use that to leverage their way into the work email if it's on the same device. See what I mean? So there's like different ways that people can manipulate and exploit different vulnerabilities, and like not even necessarily just software applications like you're talking about or server applications, but also hardware applications too. So
Well,
it
I mean,
depends.
that's the
It's
company being
crazy.
stupid. I don't know. The company
Yeah,
should have security procedures
but
in
but
place where
people,
they don't let you sign in on any other device
yeah,
except
but
when
yeah. So these guys, their main thing was like they would take an invoice for a large amount of money and then just slightly alter it and make a fake one, and then
like
they
what are
would
these
route
people
the money to that account, and then I would assume that they would just
like
fucking take all the money out of the account and dip. Like I don't
what are
understand.
these people doing? Going to a public library and signing in on a public computer? Like, come on.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know like how they went about doing it, but they said 47 laptops. I'm sorry, 47 smartphones, 21 laptops. So they had burner phones and shit. So I can't imagine that they're. But like if the email's that much different looking, why would you be like, okay, let's send the money to them? And then like how does payroll clear that? Like I don't understand that. Like how many steps are there in a transaction where someone wires another person $10 million? Like I would imagine it's probably the administrative assistant gets invoice, reviews the invoice. So like that's one person. But then like what about payroll? Like payroll is all of a sudden not going to flag the fucking invoice. Like okay, all of a sudden the routing number is like completely fucking different, and the account number is completely fucking different than the one you have on file. Like how do you not flag that? I don't understand that. That's crazy to me. And all of a sudden, the person's hitting you up and they're like, hey, my information changed. Like, here's
Well,
what
the
it
thing
is
is that
now.
I
There's
don't
no
think they're
way.
doing 10 million at a time. I think the reason why the scam is probably so successful is that they're doing like two, three, four, $500, and at the company they just say like pass it through. It doesn't meet the threshold where they have to like put these checks into place, like these secondary checks.
That's a good point. If it's such a minute amount of money, like petty cash, basically, they're really not gonna fucking like $200. I don't think a company would think twice about that. They did say there were 800,000 emails, so that makes sense. 800,000 emails of potential victims alongside suitcases of cash. I mean, 800,000 emails, like that makes sense to me. But yeah, this guy literally got caught because he was flexing too hard on Instagram. How crazy is that? Literally has a birthday party, celebrates with his friends. All of his friends are guys that the feds know are known scammers. And then they go, that's all the proof we need. Now we know where he got his money. Boom, just raids them. And then that's it. And obviously he's there on the property and there's all this shit there, in their room and the cars and everything. And there's all this evidence that implicates all of them in the whole fraud. So it's fucking unbelievable. So now this guy's in U.S. prison, I think. They extradited him, obviously. And I don't think he'll ever get out.
I think
Not
they should send
anytime
him to
soon.
Guantanamo Bay.
You think they should send him to Gitmo?
Send him over there. I think he deserves to go there.